Hello everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. In this series, we're aiming to help business owners, business leaders and fellow coaches by sharing our experience and the experience of our guests who've coached people all around the world in all of different sectors and industries that you can imagine. So very little more to say other than do please now sit back, relax and enjoy this edition, and look out for a special offer for our loyal audience at the end of the programme. Hello everybody, welcome to this edition of the Coaching Conversation. Our subject today is going to be about mental health, particularly in the trades, and how to avoid stigma and how to build resilient teams. I'm joined by John Nieuwenburg all the way from British Columbia. And for those of you who haven't got your atlas, that's Canada. Okay. John, welcome to the Coaching Conversation. And for our audience, could you tell us a bit about your story and how you now find yourself coaching and helping people build resilient teams and dealing with mental health?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. To answer your question, I'm a business coach. I've been professionally a business coach since 2004. When I first started coaching, I had a bit of an epiphany. It was Steve Jobs who said you can only connect the dots going backwards. And my epiphany was connecting a few of the dots to recognize I've always been a coach. It's only then that I kind of recognized it. The first of the dots, I'm the eldest of 8 children, so you can imagine the role that you're cast if you're the eldest of 8. I'm wired to be a teacher, and I knew that in high school. In those days, that meant wearing a Harris tweed coat with elbow patches, and that bureaucratic institutional style of teaching didn't appeal to me very much. But the most significant thing is in the early 80s, I learned something called the Socratic method of leadership. So Socrates had it, the best way to help somebody is to help them figure it out for themselves. And that's in essence what a coach does. Yeah. I'm here to work out what's right for you. I'm not in the business of telling you what to do or, need to, should to, have to do. I'm here to help you work out what's right. And so what I've realized is I've always been a coach, but 20 years of that professionally.
And when looking at mental health, why did you find yourself specializing in mental health and mental health in the trades in particular?
Well, the truth is most business owners look to get help with coaching because they think there's something in the business that they need help with, systems, tools, and structure. But almost always the secret is that all business coaching is personal coaching in disguise. Yeah. And so much of what gets in the way of people getting the results they want are a product of their mindset, their lens with which they view the world, or skills around leadership, communication, delegation. And then the third part of coaching is accountability. And so, to be successful in life, there's 3 A's. I sometimes call it this way. You have to have the right acumen, the skills, do the right things, activity. And then the third part, just to keep it as an A, I call it attitude, but it's really the mental mindset to prepare you for success. And so, lots of business owners are sort of practical guys with tools and that kind of thing, and they wouldn't think of the mental side of coaching as what sort of hoo and fooey, but in fact, once they start working together, we soon recognize that there's that often is the thing that gets in the way.
So what for you is a typical client?
So they're owners of businesses, roughly $1 million, $2 million in revenue. They usually started on the tools that are, almost a solopreneur, and they get a truck and then a helper, and one truck becomes 5 trucks, and now they find themselves where they're still running the business as if they're the technician, the guy on the tools, and they haven't yet made the leap to understand that they're a business owner, and that's an altogether different skill set. And it takes a while to recognize, oh gosh, I don't need to be a better electrician. I need to be a better business owner. How do I do that?
And do you find, you mentioned sort of up to or around 2 million as a size, does it get bigger than that? or can you even help with them right at the micro business stage?
Well, the sweet spot of the kind of clients I work with is about 1 million to 3 million, but I have clients that doing 250,000 and I have another client doing 70 million. So there's a
Wow.
really big
Yeah.
spread there. But the bulk of them are people who are trying to figure out, how do I go from being a technician owner to being a operator owner to eventually becoming a leader owner, and then ultimately to being an investor owner, or to give that a little bit of, how much time does the owner of a McDonald's restaurant need to be in the restaurant?
Yeah.
As
And,
little as they
yeah.
want.
And does he
And
need
so
only
that's,
one? Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's what I mean by an investor owner.
So when it comes to the specific challenges, you talked about how do I be a better manager or a better business owner? Are there specific challenges within that you see frequently?
Yeah, so the owners I work with are complaining of one or all three of time, team, or money. So when it comes to time, they're saying things like, I've got too much to do. I can't get everything done. If I don't do it, it won't get done. When it comes to team, it's about recruiting, hiring is hard, getting people to work at the quality, at the level you need, or getting the culture you want. And money's got two components to it. One is having proper financials, reporting, KPIs. On the other side of money is, I need better sales and marketing. So typically the challenges are around one or all of those three clusters, let me call it.
Right. Okay. And do you find that mental health, specifically within the business owner, is something that they identify, they recognize, or is that just something that from time to time might just emerge during the coaching program?
They wouldn't express it that way, but what they will say is, I'm anxious, I'm stressed, I'm not fully present for my family or my kids. And so they wouldn't categorize it as mental health, but they're experiencing a lot of emotional strain and drain in their lives. And, it's affecting the quality of the life they have.
And so, do you have particular tools that you share with them to help them deal with this?
A number. I'm um, usually in the first 3 months of coaching, something will happen in a discussion, in a coaching session with the client, and I realize I need to have the talk.
Yeah,
And what I mean by that is, they've said something about their leadership or the complaints they're getting from their team. And I realize what they need is the conversation about who they are and how they show up and their behavior and communication style. And so I introduce a thing called DISC. It's a profiling tool. It's not a personality tool. It's a way to have a conversation about your preferred communication leadership style and the styles of the people that work with you, and how to then become more effective in communication. And that often is the first time people start to recognize their particular behavior and how that impacts their team. At the next level, I do a thing called PQ, which is a tool. The essence of PQ is that we're all the product of 9 saboteurs, beginning with the master saboteur, which is the judge, but that all of us are some product of the way that we get triggered by behavior around us. And so the tool helps you, first of all, identify what are your particular saboteurs, how did you acquire them, how do you recognize when you're being triggered, and what can you do differently so that you go to the other part of your brain, the sage part of your brain, the part of the brain that brings out the best in you. I've probably shared that with, I'm going to say off the top of my head, a third of my clients. And of those, 80% have had life-changing insight. I don't introduce people to it unless there's a signal that I get that they're open to the thought of that.
yeah, I'm a PQ coach as well.
Oh, well, then you know what I'm talking about.
I know I do. I hope the audience does too. Yeah, it's I can testify to the transformation for some people. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if the old adage is true, is you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So you first of all got to recognize: are you open to this thought? Open to exploring this a little more?
Yeah. And when they are, and when they do, it is true.
Significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you have any other tools that you use in that environment?
Well, I guess apart from that, just my own capabilities, I've learned curiosity is a super force. And what that means is no matter what you're being said, ask one more question. Help somebody reveal one, pull back one more layer of curtain or one more layer of onion.
Yeah.
And that's the essence of the Socratic method, and ultimately where a lot of value is for clients.
So individual sessions with clients, how long do they typically last?
Well, they're the typical 50-minute hour. I work with clients weekly. We're wired as humans to work on a weekly rhythm.
Hmm.
When clients sometimes say, let's go to every other week or once a month, in my experience, that doesn't work. And I don't take clients on that way anymore. Either we work together once a week or we don't work together at all. Each session is a blend of what the client brings to the session, some issue they have or something they're thinking about. Or on the other side, we have a framework that is about business building and an organized process in doing that. And so each week we're trying to balance how much of our time should we spend on the burning bush of the week, is what I call it, or on something that grows or builds the enterprise.
And how many weeks would you typically work with the client?
It's open-ended. I have a open-ended handshake kind of agreement. Unlike other coaches, I don't ask people to commit to 12 months or something like that. I don't think it works that way. It only works when it works. The other way to answer your question is clients typically last 6 or 8 months, and they're kind of get a burning bush, some significant thing figured out in their business. And then the pressure's off a little bit and they're like, I'm good, I'm fine. But the other half of my clients stay with me for years because they appreciate the role of an advisor. I had a client, Brad's the guy's name, I'll never forget. After about 4 months, I said to him, hey, what do you get out of coaching? What's the thing that you've liked the most? And he said to me, it's great to have a friend. At the time he said that, I was embarrassed by that answer. Oh my God, this guy's paying me to be his friend. But as I reflected on it, I understood what he was saying to me, that being a business owner is lonely. Who can you
Yeah.
talk to? Your work colleagues? Well, not entirely freely. Your lawyer, your accountant, generally they've got an agenda and they're not really there for you. And oftentimes business owners will say, I can go home and talk to my spouse, but it takes me 30 minutes before, that person has enough context, or they start to give me advice in 5 minutes and it's not very helpful. So a lot of clients appreciate having someone who gets it, seen it, been there, done that. And I think one of the superpowers is the ability to diagnose what's being told underneath of what's being told
Yeah.
and reflecting that back.
Yeah.
And clients appreciate that once they see the value of that.
And you're also completely detached, aren't you? You're completely objective. And
That's the big thing, is I don't have any other agenda except what's in your best interest.
yeah.
The lawyer, the accountant, even your spouse has another agenda, and I can come from a place of pure objectivity.
Yeah. That's right. And do you find even those clients that you perhaps work with for 6 or 8 months, they go away and perhaps a year or two later they'll come back? Have you found that?
That does happen. It isn't as frequent as I'd like. Sometimes you start with a client and you recognize, maybe this isn't a good fit after all, so that people drop off for that reason. Sometimes it's because they get to a place where they actually don't want to be coached. I'm not comfortable with how difficult it is to change. And some people drop off because they feel like the pressure's off. They figured out the payroll problem or the cash flow problem. And so everything is kind of like okay for now.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can only coach people who want to change. You can only coach people who want to be coached.
Exactly.
Not
Yeah.
something you can enforce on people in any way. Um, do you find that there are different kinds of personalities, different kinds of individuals that go into coaching that makes life easier for you as the coach or more difficult? Is there anything about the frame of mind or the position that they're taking?
Well, the framework I use to think about that is DISC. People are either high Ds, they're dominant, they're drivers. Lots of business owners are wired that way. I's are the people. They're very chatty, people-minded. S's are kind of team, go along, get along, and C's are the very analytic kind of folks, lots of accountants and engineers. Frankly, the smallest percentage of my clients are the high C's. They're the ones that I have the hardest fit with. And the kind of owners I work with are the kind that have usually said to somebody, I can do this better than you, but I'm going to start my own business, or they've come under the category of unemployable because they never could work for somebody. So I'm going to do this thing on my own. And so those are the kinds of owners typically I'm working with.
Right. And do you do your work face to face, or these days do you still use video conferencing, or how does it work?
So when I first started in 2004, my marketplace was anywhere I could get to in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So my clients were all local, and I preferred to meet them face to face. There's some coaching was done by phone in those days, but I didn't like that and preferred the face to face. In 2018, I over a period of about 6 months, switched entirely to virtual. And then, of course, when COVID happened and everybody's grandma was talking to the grandkids on FaceTime, virtual, the resistance to virtual went away. And now I coach 30 hours a week and I never get out of this chair.
Wow. That means then, presumably, your coachees are anywhere.
Anywhere in the world English is spoken is literally true. Throughout North America, the UK, Australia. I often start on the East Coast of the United States, which is 3 hours ahead. So my 6 o'clock is their 9 o'clock. And when I end the day, my 3 in the afternoon is about 10 in the morning the next day for Australia. So
That's a way to stretch a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the 30 hours could be in one or 2 days. Yeah, very good. Very good. So what makes for you for a successful coaching session or a successful coaching program?
Well, I'm pretty good and pretty careful to ask, what was the number one thing you got out of our time together today? I'm pretty curious about that, and it's significant for me to get an answer to that question for a bunch of reasons, not the least of which, to your question, is so that I get some satisfaction, but more significant, more important is I want my client to be able to name the value they've gotten out of coaching. And the other thing I'd say in a different kind of time frame is coaching sometimes means we're making progress 1 grain of sand at a time, tiny little increments.
Yeah.
And then occasionally there's the big rock, the big boulder kind of movement when, you hear someone say, oh my gosh, I was able to go home at 4 o'clock every day this week. Wow.
Yeah.
And so sometimes there are those kinds of moments, but weeks at an end, it's like you're making tiny little movements, and sometimes clients get impatient or they feel I should be getting more out of it. And yeah, you should be getting more out of it, but we're going at the pace of change that you can handle. So let me know when you want to handle more. We can drive this up. So that's really what the pace of change is.
A 1% improvement every week in a year is a serious amount of improvement.
Exactly. Yeah. It's and then ultimately, at some point along the way, clients offer to provide a testimonial, or in some cases a case study, and that's kind of a culmination, a moment where everything crystallizes into, oh my gosh, yeah, I've been doing this for a year or 18 months, and here's where I was, and here's where I am today, and this is why my life is better.
Yeah, many coachees do need to reflect back to where they started towards the end of a program, because as we mentioned, the incremental change means often you just get used to the new you or the new situation and you forget what you left behind. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. So you have to kind of benchmark, where do we start from and where are we today? And well, let's just name it, label it, and identify that, because sometimes that gets lost. And why am I doing this? Well, let's reflect on that for a second.
Yeah. John, it's been great talking to you. If anyone in the audience wants to know more, wants to reach out to find you, how can they do that?
I told you about the Socratic method, and that it's based on helping people through questions. And W5 Coaching is the name of my coaching business. And W5 represents the 5 core questions. I'll start with a W, who, what, when, or why. And so if you're looking for me, just remember that as your memory hook, and w5coaching.com is easy to find them.
That's great. John, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us today. It's been fascinating listening to you and hearing about your coaching experiences and your clients. And that's it, everybody, for this edition of the Coaching Conversation. We'll see you again next time. So, there you have it, the latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it useful, and I hope it did what it set out to do. As promised at the beginning of the programme, here is a special offer for you, our loyal audience. If you reach out to me at gwiley@sagegreen.com and mention this podcast, we'll make available to you a coaching program for you and or your team at a 50% discount. So where can you reach us? So it's definitely gwiley@sagegreen.com. You can also reach us at the Executive Mindset at sagegreen.com, and our website is clearly theexecutivemindset.co.uk. If you enjoyed this, do please leave us with a wonderful rating on Google. We'd really appreciate that. So nothing more for me to say now other than see you again soon.